Podcasting with Ceri Jones.
Hi guys, and welcome to this week's podcast. This week's guest has a passion for fly tying. He's only been tying for a little over 4 years, but has such a talent and has a large following on social media. He specialises in salmon flies, and more recently, classic patterns. A few years back, he had a brain hemorrhage and tells how fly fishing and tying helped in his recovery. He has recently set up an online shop selling Raids app and Lagerton products, and he's also donated a £50 voucher to spend on his site as a competition prize to my patrons. Welcome to my chat with Anthony McCann. Well, thanks for joining me, Tony.
It's good to be with you, Ceri. I'm looking forward to this.
We had a brief chat a couple of days ago, and it was instantly, without me even knowing where you were from, I could tell from your accent you were from the north. Is it Belfast you said?
Yeah, I'm from Belfast, yeah. I'm sorry about the accent. It's definitely not the prettiest.
I love accents. Don't want anybody to apologise for accents. I think it gives character to people, doesn't it?
It does, but I think the Belfast one is probably the worst from Ireland, and I think I can get away with saying that because I am from Belfast.
Yeah.
But some of the other, the Cork accent or even the Derry accent, I think is a little bit more musical than the rough Belfast accent.
I tell you who I had to slow down a little bit when I was chatting to him was Stevie Munn. Do you know Stevie Munn?
Yeah, I do. Yes, yeah. Stevie's a good lad.
He talks fast, and he was saying, friends of his, they talk even faster. And it's funny, when I used to come over, I don't know, what was it, 30 years ago, probably, no, actually, everyone in Ireland sounded the same. But then the more you go, you can tell instantly different regions, can you? And even towns sometimes.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
This is going to be something a bit different for me, the podcast with yourself, because I normally chat with guys and they tell me how they started fishing when they were a boy and they were all going back, way back, and they fished with their father and this, the other. But you've come on the scene now, it's only about 5 years, and you sort of, it's a fresh face, and you got such a talent, and you're hitting the social media by storm. I noticed with your salmon flies. How did that come about?
Yeah, so I have to say now, I did fish a little bit when I was young, and we can talk about that if you like.
Yeah.
But yeah, more recently, I just kind of got to the stage in my life where I was able to, steal a couple of hours away and get fishing, and just basically threw myself at it. Was more interested in the fishing, and the guy who was showing me the fishing also showed me a bit of tan, and I just fell in love with it and kind of took it up from there. And I think it's a little over 4 years now I'm tan.
Really?
So yeah.
So you said you fished as a boy. You didn't tie flies then. Just now you started tying 4 years ago.
Yeah, so really it started only 4 years ago. I have to say I did try my hand at fly tying maybe when I was in my early 20s. But I tied maybe 20 trout flies and kind of that was it. My dad bought me a little vise and a little box of finished materials, and we would have went fishing together, and I would have tied up a couple of dabblers and stuff, and I caught fish on them in fairness. But I put the fish away after 20 flies or so, and I actually found them recently, so I've got them out and looked at them, and those flies will definitely not be going on social media.
It's funny, isn't it? When you look back at the time, you probably thought they were good. Like, I found 3 flies actually, which I entered a competition. I must have been 12, and I found them when I was sorting a draw out, and it was a baby doll. I think it was a black and peacock, and I can't remember what the other one was now. But there was enough wool on there on the baby doll to make a sweater. But,
I bet it's still caught fish though.
Yeah, that was a fly everyone used years ago, but it's not even talked about now, is it?
Yeah, it's funny how patterns come and go.
Yeah, you were saying a dabbler, for instance. So I looked on your Facebook page, and it's all salmon and rivers. But do you actually fish lochs at all then?
I have in the past, like I said before, what I went kind of, fishing with my dad's. With my dad, sorry. And what I went to likes of Melvin. I think we fished that a couple of times together. But I fished a couple of like still waters and stuff. So I have fished lochs, if you want, previously, but not any time recently.
Yeah.
It's something actually on my to-do list this year. I will be friendly with Jackie Mahan. I know he's been on your
All
podcast
right,
before.
yeah.
And so I'm booked in for a day's fishing with Jackie down in Lough Corrib, which I'm looking forward to.
Have you been down to Lough Corrib before?
Never.
Oh, wonderful. I fished it many years ago. I mean, like 20 plus years ago. And I always wanted to go back there. And this season they did. There was one of my patrons at channel, actually, Colin Dodd from the club. He lives on the shore of Lough Corrib. And I had a day with him. What a special water that is. You know, when you envisage or you imagine textbook, like a grey day and rolling waves and there's fish coming up sideways over your fly. It was brilliant. So I'm going to go back in May. Have a couple of days up there as well. You're going to love it there.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Jackie speaks very highly of it, and obviously Jackie, he's a wealth of information there. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Do you try trout flies? Because I noticed, you're known for your salmon patterns. Did you get into tying the trout flies as well?
I've tied a couple. Don't get me wrong, they're there for a purpose, and obviously they work, and everyone catches fish on them and stuff. But it's not really my cup of tea, Ceri. There's just something about. I know we were talking about this before the call started. There's just something about a salmon fly, and it just catches me every time.
Yeah.
If I'm going to sit and tie, I want to be tying salmon flies.
Yeah, and the hooks, the shape of them, and the colours and the layers and the blending, it is something about them. And I suppose, like I was talking to, I did a podcast with Richard Aaron Lough Jones, which we spoke of as well. And sometimes he will like sit at the vice on one fly for like half hour and then leave it and go back to it. Not in one sitting. He won't tie one fly in one sitting. This is the classic salmon flies now. Do you do anything like that?
Yeah, so it's funny. Richard has actually reached out to me on Facebook and stuff and helped me out, give me some advice. But yeah, so I'm actually sitting here now looking at a Green Highlander classic that I started last Sunday, and it's now ready for the wing to go on, and I'll get at it hopefully this weekend. So yeah, the classics, because it takes so much time, you're trying to tie it as tight as you can and get everything right in proportions. It does take a bit of time, well, especially for me anyway. So yeah, I'm happy just to leave it and then come back to it with a fresh pair of eyes.
Do you actually fish with those flies, or when you actually fish, you fish just with tubes or Waddingtons, or
So normally I would fish. Well, it very much depend on where I'm fishing, but the smaller rivers over here in Ireland, they would fish a little like beadheads, single hooks.
Do they?
I don't know if you saw. I stuck some up on social media recently. There, it's they're kind of actually like little trout hooks with fluorescent beadheads, but those are really, really popular in Ireland at the moment. And really, I think they were introduced, or they were first used on the likes of the River Finn up in Donegal there, which is a singles only, catch and release, single barbas. But a lot of guys were starting to have success in some of the bigger rivers, and I use them a lot now myself. I've actually caught fish on them in Scotland as well. But yeah, to answer your question, I would fish those little single beadheads for salmon, and then the traditional doubles, some trebles as well. And I actually did fish a couple of classics in Scotland last October, but no luck at all on them.
You wouldn't want to get stuck up a tree, would it, with that?
That'd be a costly day out, wouldn't it?
You almost wouldn't want a fish to take it and make a mess of it. But I suppose with all flies, once they've been used and caught, there's more confidence with the fly. Even though they might not look as it should, you still fish it with confidence then.
Definitely. It's funny you say that. So about an hour before I had a guy coming up to get some flies off me, and he said to me, "Oh, I'm going to the Fin on Sunday. Have you any little single beadheads, the flies we were just talking about?" But I have none tied up, for customers or anything. So I give him a couple out of my own box. But I caught a couple of fish on a particular fly last year, and that's the single beadhead fly left in my own box. I give him all the rest.
Wow.
So if he listens to this now, he'll be calling me names.
I bet. Do you know what?
But yeah,
One
you
thing.
can't give a fly out that you've caught fish on.
Well, funny enough, I was talking to one of the guys he's writing for the journal for us, David Hoppy, and he's just come back yesterday from is it a river in Scotland, the Esk or the Northern Esk?
North Esk, yeah.
North Esk, yeah. And he had a couple of fish, and he was only on this one particular pattern, and he only had two of them, and he lost one up the tree, the other fly, which he had left. He actually caught two fish, two 10-pound salmon, and the fly fell apart. So while he was there then, he just telephoned, because he doesn't tie flies. So he's made an order now for more. So
what was the pattern?
I don't know. It'll be in the next issue of the journal, Lewis. I've seen the pattern. I got the pictures on my phone. He sent it to me.
But if I was catching fish on a particular pattern, I put one up a tree and the other one fell apart, I would be up that tree after the other fly.
So I'd be the same as well. And in fact...
Did you tie the fly yourself for him, or was it someone else? Or?
No, I didn't tie him. I don't know where he got them from. But it's something which I've always done, right? If you're low on... Obviously, when you're fishing, you've got to use the fly. But if I'm down to one fly in my box, I usually won't fish that until I've got another tied up. Because I remember years ago, I was given some claret seal's fur. And, it was such a claret. Claret is one of those special colours. You got to get it bang on. And I found that I was catching fish, and it was a claret buzzer it was, and I was catching fish after fish, and I was tying more and more. And in the end, I had a tiny piece left of this claret, and I've got it now in the tub. I won't tie with any of it now. Because It's good to match, isn't it? Because once it's gone, you can't really judge it then.
You need to send some over to Jackie. I'm sure he'll be able to sort you.
Yeah, he can match anything with his dyeing.
Jackie's a man for Dan, yep.
Do you know one thing I've noticed as well? Everyone talks. I think most fishermen, we're a little bit doom and gloom, saying, there's no youngsters coming through, and there's no people fishing now, and there's a couple of reservoirs over here now in the Midlands that have closed. But you know what I noticed? It's like there's not so many fly anglers around, but I've noticed the growth of fly tying is flying. The BFFI, it's getting much bigger now. A lot more people are tying.
No, personally now, I'm living in the middle of Belfast here in an estate, basically. And, within 2 streets of me, there's another 2 smashing fly tires. And if you go a little bit further out, you have another handful of cracking fly tires. So that, it is quite popular. I had a couple of guys up here last night doing a little bit of a fly time. So it's definitely growing. It's because it's so good, like a lot of the classic fly tires, you'll probably find some of them don't even fish, but they're absolute masters of the art. Because you get so many benefits just from doing the fly tan. Well, I certainly do anyway. So I think people are maybe seeing it, as a little de-stress or hobby or whatever.
The thing is with fishing, if the weather's bad, especially the rivers, you can't go. But with fly tying, the vice is always there, isn't it? Have you got a permanent desk?
Yeah. So I would try and tie every night, Ceri. So I have a little fly tan desk and shells and posters, photographs, and I've put over the garage basically. Yeah. I'll send you a little photograph.
That'd be good. It's nice to have a space like that. I remember when I started tying when I was a kid, well, for up into my 20s, everything was in boxes, and then you just pull them out on the table when you want. But I got a nice little bureau now, and it's just a case of just rolling it up, and it's there. I don't tie as much as I should now, though. Do you tie commercially now for clients or customers?
I do at the moment, though. I probably will stop pretty soon. Yeah, I've tied for... well, commercially, our customers anyway, for the last maybe 2 years, 3 years, something like that. Because I was tying flies every night, I had no use for all these flies. So it makes sense where if I get, enjoyment out of doing something, if I'm able to pass those flies on to someone else, then, that covers my cost for the materials I use. I'm able to save up a couple of pounds, maybe pay for my fishing license. And the best thing that I certainly get from tan flies for people is, you'll be stuck in work on a boring Monday morning, the typical grey Irish day, and next minute your phone will beep and there's a photograph of a 12-pound springer or I remember one occasion last year I was in a meeting and my phone went, and it was from Canada, and he just caught himself a 26-pound Atlantic salmon on the Grand Cascapedia, and he sent me a photograph of it, of one of my flies.
Wow.
And like, you would have thought I caught it. I'm sitting in that meeting, one minute I was bored, and then the next minute, I'm buzzing and I'm trying to plan my next trip. So yeah, there's definitely benefits of it. The only downside is, meeting people's expectations as well. Some people leave it to the last moment, asking for 20 flies on a Friday when they need them on the following, Tuesday. It's just not practical, But yeah, I would try commercially. But as I say, I think I'll probably stop that, because as I get more and more into the classics, I want to try and spend more time kind of getting better at that.
With the classics, there's a lot of materials which only get used for just a handful of flies, I suppose, isn't it? So it can work out expensive, but it's a hobby, and it's the pleasure you get out of it, I guess.
It's actually very difficult, or I've found it very difficult anyway, to get the hooks and to get materials, and But what fly tan in general, the community has been very welcoming, very supportive, and very friendly for the most part, anyway. And the likes of Richard, some tips for the fly tan. I'd never met the guy before, which I really appreciated. And that's happened so many times. And I've been very lucky. Some of the flag tires here in Ireland, and some absolutely amazing world-class talent.
Yeah.
And some of those guys have been very helpful and very supportive, and been guiding hands to me.
Yeah.
So I'm very thankful for that. Yeah.
Yeah. You do, because you were in the BFI. The
BFFI this year was my first time actually at it.
Right.
And on Ayers Row, I was on a stall working with Zap and the Garden.
So what's your choice of vice you use?
So at the moment, I'm currently using a Stonefold transformer, and I love it. I'm going to say something maybe a bit controversial here. I was given the land of one of the original Lough vices, and I was using that for a while, and I didn't like it.
No?
I didn't like the use of it at all. No, I just couldn't get comfortable with it. So there's probably fly tires sitting there pulling their hair out, going, this upstart, he's only tan so long and he doesn't know what he's talking about. But yeah, it's not for me. So I'm back on the transformer again.
Well, I suppose it gives you more money to get materials, because those Lough vices, they're a few thousand now.
You couldn't afford one of those now. The gentleman who lent me it actually had two of them, and he lent me it to try it, and it's not for me. A lovely vice, a great piece of engineering. I appreciate that. I appreciate the workmanship put into it, but it just wasn't for me.
No, the jaws on the transformer are smaller than the Lough, I guess. Maybe that's something, is it?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, they would be smaller. But the transformer's a great fish. You can just change the head and pop in your little tube head, and away you go.
Yeah.
I was using the Regal fish. I think it was a Regal medallion, and I changed it. It wasn't really rotary, so I wanted a rotary fish.
I do like those transformers, and I was taking pictures here in the studio with Rob Redman, actually, doing some stuff this week, and that's what he uses. It's a nice looking vice, isn't it? And it's just like a silky smooth. It is nice. I can see where the attraction is.
Rob's a nice guy, isn't he? I met Rob for the first time at the British Fly Fair.
Yeah, he's
a great guy.
He's got a talent.
He definitely is. Great fisherman as well.
Yeah.
It's great to go to the. You can kind of put names to faces and get to meet people, and do a bit of socialising. Yeah. Rob was good to meet.
He's big into sea trout, he is.
Yes, he catches some lovely fish, doesn't he?
He does, yeah. And you know, I've spent some time with him actually on a river. He lives at more or less a few hundred yards from the river. He knows where every fish is. And even after we finished, we just took a walk along the river. And to you or me, it'd be black. And all of a sudden he said, there's fish here. And he put his torch on. And the torch shined on a 4-pound sea trout. Bang, there he was. He knew where they were in the dark. When you're growing up on a river, you know it. Something I want to talk to you about as well. You've had an issue with your health, haven't you? You had some brain hemorrhage or something, you said, yeah?
Yeah, so 2 years ago, Ceri, I was at a show with me and the wife, and I coughed and took a pain in the back of my head. And basically, long story short, it was a bleed on the brain, or brain hemorrhage. So I had to go to hospital and stuff, and was in hospital for, I can't remember, it was 7 or 8 nights. But I had, the brain surgery and stuff. And yeah, it was a rough time, and I think I'm very lucky, to still kind of be here. Yeah, I like bringing it up. I've done a podcast previously and I spoke about it, and I like speaking about it. People are aware of this. There's a bit of confusion I find around it. But yeah, it's kind of, a lot of people have brain aneurysms and stuff, and they don't even know. So while I was in getting my brain surgery, that do the brain scans and stuff, and they told me I have a brain aneurysm as well. So yeah, I go and get checked out every 6 months, just things to make sure my brain's still there, as my wife tells me. Yeah, but as part of that, then as part of the kind of the side effects or the doctor's orders, if you want, I'm not allowed to train, not allowed to lift heavy weights, or I used to do a bit of MMA. I'm not allowed to do that any longer.
Did you?
Yeah.
Maybe
so
that's what caused it, was it? Got a knock at some point?
I didn't take any blows to the head or anything, and coming up to it, but I can't risk any more, because of the brain aneurysm I have.
Wow.
So the doctor doesn't want me doing it anymore. But the doctor did say, do the fly tan as much as you can, and do the fishing as much as you can, stuff that's going to calm you down, and suppose work on your mindfulness, relax yourself, and so that's what I do. That's why I try and come out, every night for an hour or so, and just disconnect, put myself out of the world, and tie a fly, listen to a podcast, and just get that little bit of relaxation and chill out time. Yeah, and of course, you'll get that on the river as well.
Do you miss the MMA though? Then
I do. I'll be honest. I've done it for years. So when you stop doing something that you've done for years, or you're told that you have to stop doing something that you've done for years, it's a hard pill to swallow. But I can still do certain bits. I can still do a bit of pad work or whatever. I can't.
You never met McGregor, did you?
I did, actually. Yes.
You didn't fight him, no?
I didn't fight him. He fought friends of mine, so he did.
All right.
Yeah, but he would have been about the Irish MMA scene around the same time. Yeah.
Yeah. He doesn't look the sort of guy who would sit down and tie flies, though, would he?
You wouldn't know. You don't know. I think a lot of the stuff you see on that, it's all for social media.
Yeah. But, it's all an act, I guess.
It's surprising, you said there about me only kind of, starting fly tan and the whole social media thing. Some of my biggest supporters are MMA fighters.
Are they?
One of the guys that was up here last night on a fly tan lesson was a very good Irish boxer. And one of the guys I was training with last night, he's a champion Muay Thai fighter, and he's the fly tan and wants to go fishing and stuff. And so, yeah, a lot of these guys, they need the chill out and the relaxation as much as the rest of us. And, obviously fishing's massive in Ireland as well. So they all probably have some kind of connection somewhere along the line. Yeah,
I guess you need to relax when you're doing that sort of thing. So that'd be the perfect way, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, the fly fishing and the fly tan it's definitely a lot easier on the face. Well, I don't know. You want to see my fingers when I'm tying trebles?
There's blood everywhere, is it?
Blood everywhere. And then you get some people saying, can I have a band special on a size 18 treble? And then you just politely tell them where to go.
Yeah, I guess no one's going to argue with you, mind. Where's my flies?
No, mate, no. No.
Yeah.
No, you don't want all that stuff. You keep all that kind of fighting and stuff for inside the gym.
Yeah. You've moved into another stage now, like obviously you tie your flies, but I noticed that now you've got a website.
Yeah, it's a little business venture I've undertook since December. So yeah, 3 months ago. Yeah, Carrie, I saw a little bit of an opportunity and I decided to go for it. And so far so good. Yeah.
And that's where you stock the Raids app and Lagerton products.
Yes.
How did that come about then?
So yeah, it's strange how things happening, or has certainly happened to me anyway, in fly fishing and fly tying. As an up and coming fly tyer, it was an aspiration of mine to be noticed by one of the fly fishing companies and be a pro tyer or join a pro team type of thing.
Yeah.
And that that did come eventually, which I was obviously delighted about. And one of the teams that I was asked to be on was RaidsApp, and because I'm an engineer, the owner of the company asked me to help him design some fly tying tools. So during the call for a certain fly tying tool, he said to me, I need to get the product into the UK market, because at that time I was on the pro team and I was advertising the product on social media, as well as other people from here as well. But the problem was there was nowhere here you could actually buy it, and it's a great product. So that we were using it in shows and stuff and putting it on social media, and people were contacting me, where can I buy this and the whole lot. So it was a headache for the owner. I think the previous supplier or distributor had stopped selling into the UK market because of Brexit regulations and some kind of trade tariffs or whatever it was. So the owner, Ben, he just happened to say this to me on the call. He says, would you know anyone who would be willing to kind of take this on? And I kind of thought, well, something, I'll have a go at that myself and see if it works. So that's kind of how it started, and now we are here. 3 months down the line, I've got my own website. We've done a trade stand at the British Fly Fair, and I've booked 3 or 4 other shows this year alone. Yeah, and I'll be booking more as well. So yeah, selling the Raids app and the Lough Corrib stuff. I'm not sure. Have you used it, Carrie? Have you used any of the stuff?
No, I haven't. No.
It's
very good. I've got the products that you sent me. We're going to review in the next issue of the journal. The bobbin holders are lovely.
Yeah. The exact bobbin holders are probably my favorite product that we'll have available.
Yeah.
It's for anyone who doesn't know and anyone who's listening. It's customizable to your own personal time and style. Comes with multiple heads, and the reason why it's called the exact is it allows the precision control of your tan thread on the fly. And I personally, I'm not trying to make a sale here. I personally feel it helped my tan. And I know some friends here who use it, they've also, experienced the same and have the same review. So, and so far the people who have bought it here in the UK, they're coming back and saying the same thing.
Yeah.
So now we're going to try and get it into the rest of Ireland and further afield into the rest of Europe as well, and try and continue to grow the brand.
And you've got the resins as well, haven't you?
Yeah, so you've got the resins, you've got the torches. There is some other fly tan tools that we're going to be coming out with over the next couple of months. So yeah, it's a good progressive company and always trying to improve. And the resins themselves, the response we've got so far, we basically sold out of all the resin at the British Fly Fair in 4 hours.
Really?
It was insane. It was crazy. Yeah.
The packaging is nice as well. I mean, like, you could tell a lot of effort and a lot of work has gone into making it look the business.
Yeah, I think the owner may not like me saying this because he likes to label me with it. So I think I have a little bit of OCD, and I like things to be right, and things have to be a certain way. And I think it's probably fair to say Ben's similar when it comes to his stuff.
Yeah.
He likes it to be good, he likes it to be right, and he likes people to be feeling good with the product in their hand.
Yeah. Well, you get out what you put in. Yeah, and you can tell that by the product. I noticed as well on your website, you've got a casting for recovery bobbin, and that's to help support women with cancer, isn't it? And then there's a percentage of that goes to their fund, then, is it?
Yes, yeah.
Charity.
So Casting for Recovery is the charity that helps women, recover from breast cancer and stuff, and it gets them out onto the river. And again, the fly fishing and fly tan is great for mindfulness, and especially in in times of recovery after illness. I can certainly vouch for that. So Ben has very generously created this product. Each one of them is individually painted. So each of them are special, just like the women who are recovering from that terrible disease. And I should know this, but I think it's half of the profits go direct to the charity.
I noticed it said,
which is fantastic. Yeah. So
the website's called stayhooked.co.uk, so they can order the different products on there then.
Yep, that's correct. Yep. Yeah. You'll also see it at any of the the big fly tan events. We'll definitely be back at the British Fly Fair next year. We'll be doing Stevie Munn's Irish Fly Fair. We're going down to the Ned show here in only a couple of weeks. We'll be at the Northwest Fair in Strabane. We're going to Germany the following week. So you'll see us about, and if there's any questions or any concerns, just send me a message. And
if you're enjoying this episode, please consider becoming a Patreon. Well, you will get weekly podcasts plus access to over 170 episodes, plus behind-the-scenes photography. And for this week's Patreon competition, Anthony is given a prize of a £50 voucher to spend on his website. So please call over to his website and have a look. To become a Patreon, visit patreon.com/Casting with Kerry Jones, or see the link on my website, castingwithkerryjones.com. Going on to the fishing now then, it's mainly salmon you actually fish for then? And we've got a local river which you fish?
So my local river is the River Lagan. It's the main river that runs through Belfast, but unfortunately, there's no fish in it. So I have to travel we're a good 90 minutes, 80, 90 minutes away from fishing. And that would be, over on the foil system. You face the Strool and Owen and maybe even the Camone. And then a little bit further down, you've got the Mourne River, the Derg, and then you've got, the Donegal rivers, the likes of the Finn or even the Drouse over in Bandorna. And I know kind of we spoke about that previously. But I would fish all kind of up around there. I've tried to book on, I have faced the Ridge Pool down on the Moy there at Ballina. I faced that previously, and I've hoping to get on that again this year. And I would go venture a little bit further afield and go get to Scotland and fish up in Scotland as well for the salmon.
Right. Do you know what? When you mentioned, I haven't fished for salmon in Scotland, but I fished the Ridge Pool, as you said. And
right, how did you get on?
It was a long time ago. I hooked just below the Ridge Pool. There's a place called The Point. If I remember now, there's a beat called the Cathedral. And then further down, there's a point. And,
right, okay.
This was one of the very first trips I was out there, and I had a fish. It must have been a good 14, 15 pound, right to the net. And he came off. And you know what? I was sick like a dog all day then. Because he was wallowing on the side. He was sliding, it was on the side, coming in, and he just pulled out. But I did fish the Ridge Pool then. And the reason I'd fished, I wanted to fish it for a while, but it was kind of in flood. So the guy, I can't remember his name now, Mike Tolan his name was. He said, if you want to fish it, just fish it, he said, for free. Because the conditions were just, it was no good really. And when I was there, I always remember, I was wading up to my, just above my waist. And next thing, I felt a bang on my leg. Like somebody punched you in the leg. And it just made me jump, and I was looking down, I couldn't see, and all of a sudden it went bang again. And I looked down, and it looked like a big lump of weed. But it wasn't weed. They were, what do they call them now? Lampreys. They were lampreys.
Right?
Yeah, and they were like 3-4 foot long. And then when I got out, it freaked me out because they just stick onto your waders, and
Right.
they're laying in the current then. And afterwards, this Mike, he said, "Come with me," he said, and he walked on top of the bridge in the town, looked over, and where you thought they were weeds just flowing in the river, they were lampreys. Freaked me out, it did. But it
That's
didn't.
amazing.
Yeah, it didn't have any fish though. The river itself is lovely, mind, isn't it, the Moy?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I brought my dad down, I think it was last year. We went down and faced it in August, and it was a 60th birthday present to him.
Right.
And it was something he always wanted to do, was to go down and face the ridge pool. So we done that, and he caught a fish, but it wasn't a salmon. He actually caught a perch on the fly in the ridge pool.
Wow, that's quite rare.
So
Isn't it?
you can imagine his disappointment. You know, I have to say now, you know, my dad has fished for a while, and he's only kind of getting, well, he's getting more into salmon fishing now. He's done it previously, but he unfortunately he's never actually landed a salmon on the fly. So he was thinking, oh, 60th birthday in the ridge pool. I've just had a pull. I've got a fish on, and then he brings in a perch. So God love him. You can imagine his face when he saw it wasn't a fish.
It's expensive perch.
It was an expensive perch,
Yeah.
but it was good crack. It was a great experience to fish there with my dad on his birthday and stuff. Yeah.
Have you fished down in the south?
I haven't. No, I haven't. I've got friends going down here next week, and they invited me down, but no, it's a bit too far for me at the moment. But
It's a bit of
I'd
a
love to
trek.
get down. I'd love to get down and you know, fish with Glenda, or else even you know, Connor Arnold as well.
Right.
But yeah, I want to fish all these places, Carrie.
I know.
It's getting time, isn't it, away from the family and stuff.
Yeah. I've got a list of places every year I want to go. And it's just
Social
fitting it
media
all
is
in.
dangerous.
I
You know,
know.
you be sitting there and you're flicking through. Melvin Wood, but he was away in Argentina there recently, and you see the sea trout, and you just go, "Oh, right, I need to book that for next year."
Yeah.
You know,
I know. A few people have gone. It's like this year, it looked like almost everybody has gone to Argentina, apart from me. You know?
well, maybe we should go, Carrie. We should go.
Yeah. I'll have to save up, I think. It's not cheap, is
I'll
it?
have to sell a few flies.
Yeah, that's the hammer. So, what's your goal for this year? Fly tying or fishing?
A couple of different goals. You know, I'd like to see the little business take off, and you know, I'd like to catch a couple of fish. But my biggest goal, you know, for fly fishing and fly tying is, you know, I think as fishermen and tires and stuff, we just take things too serious, and I want to try and make things a little bit more lighthearted and enjoy myself. And the biggest thing I want to do this year, and I want to try and, you know, push myself towards this, is when I go fishing with my dad, you know, we'll go down to the river, and, you know, I'm like a child. You know, the day before we go down, I'm like a child on Christmas Eve. I'm so excited about getting to go fishing, and it just brings out the little boy in you. But when we get to the river, you know, I'm set up within 2 minutes, and I'm buzzing waders on, and I'm ready to get stuck in. And my dad just, you know, calmly walks down, sits at the edge of the river, you know, sits, has a cigarette, and just sits in quiet for a couple of minutes. And I'm going, will you come on, you know, we need to get fishing. And he's going, listen, just calm down, sit down, take in your surroundings, watch the river, and just enjoy the experience. That's what I want to get to. I want to kind of get to that level of enjoyment.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there comes a time when you've had a few fish. They can come in your time then.
It's just that excitement, you know. I get excited. I'm like a child, as I say, on Christmas Eve,
Yeah.
waiting for Santa to come.
Before we wrap up, there is one question, Tony, I ask everyone. Where would you want to be to make your last cast?
So, like I said, there's some places I'd love to go fish. I'd love to go fish in Russia, Alaska, Iceland, you know, Argentina. Yeah, it's funny, you know, I'm kind of picturing in my head where I imagine fishing started for me, and that would be like in the sea pools of the Joyce River. I remember being there as a child and stuff, and watching my dad fish and watching the guys, salmon fishing, and seeing the salmon coming up the river and stuff. And yeah, I think if I was going to have a last cast, it would be there with my dad and my son, and having the rest of my family.
Thanks, Tony, and I hope to see you in May.
No problem. Let's make it happen, Ceri. 100%, mate.
Take care, Tony. I'll
Thanks,
speak to you
Ceri.
soon. Cheers now.
Bye-bye.
Bye. If you've enjoyed this podcast and want to listen to more, please consider becoming a patron, where you'll get weekly podcasts and access to over 170 episodes, behind-the-scenes photography to go with each episode, plus other exclusive content and prizes. To become a patron, visit patreon.com/casting with Ceri Jones, or you can find the link on my website, castingwithcerijones.com. That's all for now. Tight lines, and may they always be up in the wave.